Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing this morning? It is Friday morning, y'all. I'm so excited. And it's Friday Fun Day at the daycare today. And we're finishing out this week of Dr. Seuss. But we are going to do it another week. We decided to do that yesterday. And so, Friday Fun Day for today. I am printing off Dr. Seuss. It's a match game with you feed the cat, and you feed the cat your sight words that we have, and our numbers, in our lowercase letters, in our capital letters, in our colors. And we're just going to make it into a game, and you feed the cat. And then there's some kabooms here, so should be interesting. I'm not really sure how I'm going to play this game, because a lot of these numbers and letters my 2- and 3-year-olds don't know, and some of them my 3- and 4-year-olds don't know. So we're going to have to make it work per group that I have in my classes. So it should be interesting. And we have a classroom who has balloons, and so I'm going to be able to use the balloons somehow. I think I might tape the letters and the numbers to the balloon, and then they have to throw it in the basket and feed the cat the balloon. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So hopefully that will work out. I'll show you something I got from Amazon. I got a 2023 Kids Bop CD to listen to in class for Friday Fun Day, and a Fairy Princess CD, Disney. I'm assuming it's got some of these Disney songs on it. And I also have Alphabet Bingo that I bought. So my class now will be able to learn their upper and lowercase alphabet a little bit better. And so I am still doing reading and teaching them their letters. And each group, like I said, are at different levels. The first group don't even know how to recognize their ABCs. The second group knows their ABCs, recognizes the letters, and they know their sounds. The third group knows their letters, recognizing the sounds, and spelling a couple words and a couple sight words. So we are just progressing along. This is probably like a month into really just getting used to the idea of teaching. And so it's something new. And as we progress on through the rest of the spring and summertime, we will be able to know what we're doing as teachers. So I'm pretty excited about it. It actually has given me a lot of hope and a lot of love for these kids, to know I am molding them and I am teaching them. It's also kindness time right now. And so we've been talking about being kind one to another. And Friday Fun Day, they always get a movie. They always get games, and then they get a treat while they're watching their movie. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and it's just about just being there and having a good time on Fridays. We have a group of kids that got their name on the board, and so they don't get to participate. And so I have worksheets for them to do. So it should be pretty interesting, and I'm super excited for all of that to be done. Okay, now I'm going to be working on that. So we're doing Cat in the Hat, and I'm going to be working on all that. I know, I'm a poet. Wow. Okay, so with that said, today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys really quick on loving yourself. This is something, as a single mom, God has really just showered me with love. I was looking in the Bible on what it says about love. And of course, in 2 Timothy, it talks about people in the end days will be lovers of themselves. That's not the kind of love I'm talking about. That is arrogant love, and that is a no-no in the Bible, to be prideful and arrogant and loving yourself so much that you can't love others because you love yourself and you think you're that important and more important than God even. And so that's not the kind of love I'm talking about. I'm talking about loving your neighbors, the commandment, as you love yourself. And people don't really think about that commandment, but that's the greatest commandment, is to love your neighbor as yourself. And to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And so if you are following God's commandments, and you are calling yourself a Christian, and you are loving other people as yourself, that means you sacrifice. That means you put that person or your spouse, your children, your family members, your friends, in place of yourself every time. There would be no divorces if people would love their spouse like they're commanded to do in the Bible, right? There would be people just getting along, peace, love, happiness, no war. And so this is just something that God has really laid on my heart. As a single mom, I am loving myself for the first time in 10 years. In my marriage, I knew 3 weeks after we were married, my husband did not love me. I knew it. And he didn't show me during our whole marriage that he loved me. I cannot name you, for real, I cannot name you one thing he has done that he has kept his promise on, and that he has shown me he loved me in our marriage. And that's really sad to say. 10 years of marriage with someone who I did not feel loved me from day one. I mean, I did from day one, okay? It was like 3 or 4 weeks after our marriage, I knew he didn't love me. And by then we were married, and by then I was already pregnant. I could not leave our marriage. God commanded me to stay in that marriage. And as the years progressed, I didn't love myself because I couldn't figure out why I was married to this man who didn't love me. And so I didn't take care of myself. He didn't take care of me. We didn't have insurance on me for a very, very long time. I was in a house full of boys. I was the only girl. And I did not matter. I didn't matter. I was just a stay-at-home mom who stayed at home for 10 years and didn't take care of myself. And that depression, that feeling of not feeling wanted, not feeling loved, not feeling respected, all of those things really got to the point where... Is that my hair sticking out right there? What is this? There it is. Wow. I don't know what that crazy hair was. But not loving myself and not taking care of myself really got to the point where I was so depressed. It was very hard for me to love him back. And my husband never knew how I felt. He never knew how he made me feel. And he never knew that I couldn't love him like he kept wanting me to love him because of sin, because I didn't feel loved and respected, and he didn't care to know why I couldn't love him. At first, I was all over my husband. I loved him. I was all that. Pregnancy a lot of times will come with you pushing your husband away. You don't feel attractive. You're gaining weight, and I gained a lot of weight with my pregnancies. I always have. And you just feel like you're another person when you're pregnant. But, you know, even after the baby was born, we just could not rekindle our relationship. We never were close in our marriage. It was always me and my boys. My husband would always be kind of on the side doing his own thing. Even in pictures, I look back and I say, wow, even when he was present, even when he was there, he wasn't there. He looks distant. He looks like he's not with us. A lot of times me and my boys are all like this in the picture, and he's like way over here on the side. That kind of thing. And I never realized how bad things had gotten until our divorce. And how he didn't even try in our divorce to work it out. Like, I knew that he didn't love me. He didn't want to be in the marriage. And I think it was a spiritual battle that was going on within himself. There was a old self that he had and a new self that he had in Christ. And calling himself a Christian, I think he knows what he's supposed to do, but that battle of being the old self just always kept, raising its ugly head in our marriage. And sin would creep in, and then I got so low because I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't sin on a regular basis knowingly know that I'm sinning. I sin every day, not knowing that I do it until after I do it, and then it's a lot of times, that was a sin. I'm sorry, God, But I don't knowingly go and do or hang around people who are sinning, and I just have always been like that as a Christian since I was 5 years old. And I don't put myself in situations or around the people where it's sinning and it's evilness, really. When you are putting yourself out there in situations and around those who are not like-minded as you. And it's hard being a Christian single person now, because it's hard to find those like-minded people. I know being active in church, that helps, and hanging around church. But when you would rather hang around outsiders of than you would your church care groups and Bible study groups and your friends at church, that becomes a problem. I have always loved my church groups. In every church I have gone to, I have been active in. I've cleaned the church. I've helped out in the nursery and in the children's care at churches. I have always been in the choir or been very active in church. I have always attended care groups, and I love that spiritual friendship as the body of Christ. And I love those people. I love those people sometimes even more than family members, because those people are always there for you. They help you out. They encourage you. And we all are looking for Jesus' soon return. We are looking to be in heaven and have our eternal lives fulfilled with him. And we want to please him. We want to honor him. And the best way of honoring God is loving ourselves, but not in that arrogant way. We are to love ourselves, humble ourselves at the foot of the cross. And we are to follow his commandments. That's how we know how to love ourselves and how to show God that we love him, is by sacrificing self and by humbling ourselves and doing what he has commanded us to do in all situations. Commanding us to love our spouses, and love our children and love our friends and our families, and to do what is right according to His will. And it is not how we get to heaven, is by our works and our even the way we treat other people. But as a Christian, honoring and respecting and loving your spouse, as a Christian, honoring and loving and respecting your children, and following God's commandments as a parent and as a spouse in a household is what we are commanded by God to do. And we will be judged for how we treat those around us in our lives. And so, I do want to emphasize and say that is how you are to love yourself, is to have that confidence that you need. Baby, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. My cat is trying to knock over her cat food. I bought her new cat food, and I didn't think she would like it because it's it's a different brand, but it does have chicken in it, and she gobbled it up. And I think she's trying to get more. I gave her a big spoon. She's like, meow. So I don't know if she didn't like it and she just realized it was a different kind. So she's trying to dig in there for the old kind. It's at the bottom. I hope it doesn't make her sick. So we'll see. But we are to love God and others, and in return love ourselves. God will give us what we need. And so in my marriage, I can tell you, before I met my husband, I was a single mom. I was on a spiritual high with Christ. I was one with God. I was ready to meet that Christian man in my life and get married. I was ready. I had been a single mom for 5 years. And so I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to start dating now and all this, after my domestic violence marriage. And I don't know if I could trust anybody, And so I was like, well, if God sends me someone at church, I'll marry him. And when I first met my husband, he wanted to talk about his past, his old self, and I was like, I don't want any part to, I don't want anything to do with that kind of lifestyle. So if that's who you are, I don't want anything to do with it. When I first met my spouse, he smoked outside of church, right outside the front door of the church. Oh, I didn't like that. He would smoke around my kids. I didn't like that. He would cuss once in a while, and I didn't like that. He would go to AA. He was an ex-alcoholic, and he had been sober for a very long time, which was great for him. I appreciate that. But he went all the time to AA. He actually lived in the AA house. I questioned why. Why do you have to go to AA all the time if you're sober? And I get it. You have a group of friends there you want to see, but why all the time? And, I had a struggle with that. He says, hey, come to an AA meeting with me. And I was like, okay, sure. I'll, go to an AA meeting. They were all outside smoking. They were cussing really bad. And they were all talking about not only being alcoholics, but drug users, divorce, and all the things that associate with alcoholism. And they sometimes were ordered to be there. Sometimes they were bragging, like, about, oh yeah, I used to do this and I used to do that, and I thought, why would you like this? Like, this is not, to me, this is negativity. This is not of God, and it's of the world, but not of God. And we struggled in our marriage with this battle over AA for 10 years, and of our relationship. And it was something where I could never understand. I could never understand, why do you have to go to AA meetings all the time? And why would you rather be at AA than with your family? You're a husband. You're a father. You're a Christian. You are to want to serve your family first. And we were never first. It wasn't just me that wasn't first. It wasn't just me that he never loved. It was also the family unit. And honestly, maybe even our home, because projects would not get done because AA came first. And so this is a battle that I had, and I gained weight. I was depressed. I hated myself because I felt like I am stuck in this marriage where I can't even feel God's love because I feel like I'm in a marriage where my husband doesn't love me. Why in the world would God put me in this marriage? And there was glimpses of, oh, we could do things together as a family and be a Christian. But there was also sin going on in our marriage, and it just consumed me. And I didn't take care of myself. You guys are going to start noticing I am losing weight now. I'm single. I'm losing weight a lot. And I am taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my children better. I am having that love for myself. I'm changing. My looks are changing. I'm wearing makeup again. I'm telling you guys, I would go years without makeup. I am starting to take care of me. And I'm loving myself again. And I love that I'm losing my weight. And I am exercising. And I am working hard at my job. I have goals in my life. I'm actually accomplishing my goals. And I am just being the best mom ever. And I am focusing on my children more, in my home more, even if it's not my house anymore and I have an apartment. I am loving myself again. And how is a man going to love me if I don't love myself? And I think that's kind of how we were in our marriage. My husband wanted me to love him, and I couldn't love him. It wasn't just him not loving me. It was because he was not the spiritual leader. He was not the one showing me that I loved him. I couldn't love him back. I couldn't. And because I couldn't love him back, I couldn't love me. And I was having a really hard time loving God because I just was so upset and angry. Why is this marriage like this? This is not how marriage is supposed to be. My husband's supposed to love me and care about me, care what I think. He's supposed to come to me like, what do you think about this? And listen. If I say, hey, I feel like we should do this, not be like, oh no, I think we should do this, and that's what we're going to do. Is that working together? We're having a hard time co-parenting now that we're divorced because he wants to do what he wants to do. He doesn't care about what's best for the child. Even my child has said, why does Dad not listen? I don't know. He never listened to me either. That's what I want to say. I don't say that, but I don't know. That's all I can say. I don't know. Why does he not care? I don't know. You know, it's about choice. Who are you going to serve? If you're serving God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, you will love yourself. Because we are made in the image of Christ. We are. That's what the Bible says. We are to be Christ-like. We are to love others. And I don't know about you guys, but when I am showing love to others, whether it's giving them something for free or whether it's putting extra coins in all these baskets or whether it's just paying it forward to the person behind me at the drive-thru, when I do things like that, I feel joy in my heart. I feel blessings. I feel like I'm doing something that God has commanded me to do. If I go to the store and I buy a card for someone who's sick, someone I don't even know, I've done that before. There was a prayer request and God told me in the middle of the store, buy a card for this person who had cancer. I didn't even know who it was. Didn't even know. I gave it to my pastor. I said, this is for that guy you were talking about. Didn't know him. But it meant a lot to that person. It was months later before the pastor mentioned it and said there was someone who gave a card to this guy with cancer, and that person does not even know how important it was to that person who had the cancer to receive that card at that time that they received it. I didn't know who it was for. And when the pastor said that months later, it was like 3 or 4 months later, I knew he was talking about me. God says, good and faithful servant. You did what I commanded you to do. Standing in the middle of the Dollar Tree, shopping for my kids, God says, go buy this card. And I looked at the cards and I picked out one. And it was talking about God being the lighthouse. I can remember the card. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was about God being your lighthouse. And listening to God. Something in my marriage I struggled with. I kept praying and praying. Dear God, help me love my spouse. Help me love my spouse. And you know what? Because of my divorce, I love him so much. I can see how much I loved him in my marriage, and I never told him. And it's because now he's gone out of my life. And I am free to love him because of my choices to love him. And my choices to be faithful in my marriage, and my choices to love my spouse, even though he divorced me, even though he's with someone else in a new relationship, she's moved into the house. I choose to love him. And it's free. It's my choice now to love him despite what he's done to my family and to me. And I don't care if he loves me back anymore. Because I'm going to follow Christ. And I'm going to follow what God has commanded me as his spouse to do. As God's spouse and as my husband's spouse. God says, love him till death do you apart. And he says, love yourself. You didn't walk away from your marriage. He did. Let me take care of that. But you take care of yourself now. You're free. You're free in your divorce to love me the way you want to love me. Your husband and spouse is not going to hold you down in depression anymore. Feeling negative, you know? When we got in fights, a lot of times my husband would say, you made me say this. You made me do this. Oh, really? Did I? Just because you disagree with what I said, whatever it was. I mean, we got in fights over the stupidest things. We got in a fight once over putting a Snicker bar in the refrigerator. Well, you don't put Snicker bars in the fridge. Really? That's the way I like them. I like them cold. How do you like your Snickers? I'd like to know. Put it in the comments. You like it gooey and chewy, or you like it cold in the refrigerator? Oh, I always liked mine cold in the fridge. And we got a big fight over it. It's okay to be different. That's why God put two together to make one. His strengths are my weaknesses, and my weaknesses are his strengths. We were to be one, not fighting with each other. Even as parents now, we are to be one in our decision making. What's best for our child? We are to be one in our faith. I mean, he's saying he's a Christian. I'm saying I'm a Christian. We need to act like Christians. Love one another as we love ourselves. Love your neighbor as yourself. Greatest commandment of all. And that feeling that I have now with God of love. I feel like, yes, thank you, Jesus. You hear my prayers. He's answering all my prayers. He's my spouse. I pray with him every day. I'm spending time with him every day. I have that relationship. That is one thing me and my spouse never had. Time together. Building our communication together. Our relationship together. That's how I knew my husband didn't love me. He didn't care. He could care less what kind of day I had with the kids all day as a stay-at-home mom. I really felt like I was a single wife. I don't know if that is a real term or not, but that's how I felt in my marriage. I made decisions on my own. And there's a lot of times I didn't ask my spouse what he thought. Because I got to the point where I didn't care what he thought. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because you don't care about me. The actions of my divorce, I can see why I felt the way I felt. The other people in our lives know now how I felt. And now they're like, wow, you're loving yourself. You're taking care of yourself. We see the Kerri that's back. She's back. She's back. My children see it. Mom, you're back. You love God again. You love us again. You're taking care of yourself again. And so this weekend, I'm spending time with my kids. We're going to have a great time. Spend time together. We're going to play games. We're going to swim. We're going to have a great time this weekend. And, you know, it's all about family. I want to show my kids that I love them by spending time with them and doing things that they want to do. I hear them. I notice them. And I want them to know that I love them. I'm going to go out of my way to show that they are important to me. That's what God did for us when he sent his son to die for us. He showed that we can relate to Jesus. Man who is on this earth, who sacrificed himself on the cross for us. Because we're sinners. We are lovers of ourselves a lot. We don't care about the other people in our lives a lot. And God says, you are commanded to love one another as I love you. Well, how does God love us? Sacrifice, relationship, time, answering our prayers, doing the things for each other that we are asking of each other. All I ever asked from my husband is for him to love me. And God says, I love you. And I'm going to show you I love you. I'm going to answer your prayers. I'm going to spend time with you. You spend time with me, I'm going to spend time with you. I'm going to build you up. And now I see, through my divorce, what a real marriage could be. I see other marriages that are what I wanted in my marriage, what I could have had. But it takes two. It takes two. That commitment, that love. But you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself. Not in an arrogant way, but in His way. So I hope this encourages you today. You guys have a blessed Friday fun day. Have a great weekend. And I probably will be doing some videos this weekend. So talk to you guys later. Bye.